Have you been wondering what is the best mainline series Pokemon game? Well, let me help you. I am a Pokemon professional and I've been playing for many years, okay? I know what are good Pokemon games. I know which ones are bad. And we're gonna go through a tier list ranking the good ones and the bad ones. It's gonna be amazing and you're not gonna wanna miss it. Enjoy. So today we are going to be reviewing the mainline series Pokemon games, starting from the Game Boy games to what we have now in the Switch. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. All right, first games are going to be Red and Blue, the very first games in the series as well. So that's pretty cool. Personally, I did play these games when I was very young. They were pretty much the first Pokemon games I ever played, so I am a part of the nostalgia team, even though I'm not a Gen 1er per se. You know, we owe them a lot, all right? A lot of things to be grateful for, these games. What's crazy to me is that they figured out the formula right there and then. In the first game, they figured it out. Kind of like Dark Souls, you know, like when Dark Souls 1 came out, they just like figured out the formula. It was already great the first time, so now they just kind of keep expanding on Dark Souls, and that's kind of what they did with Pokemon. That's why it has to be a C, because they did improve on it. And despite, you know, how you feel about the gameplay and them not changing it, I mean, it's great. People like it. That's how they were able to make all these games, because it is a good formula. So they really knocked it out of the park first try. Yellow version, honestly, we'll throw that on top of here. It's pretty much the same game. You got a Pikachu following you. They did improve the sprites and they did add color to the game, so there's that. But overall, all these games are kind of hard to go back to be honest. Like, they're really hard to jump back into. Another thing about Kanto, I really don't like Kanto's region design. I feel like it's super boring, especially compared to what we get in the future. Kanto just seems very plain. Where's like the mountain area? Where's your snow area? This may seem like obvious inclusions for later games, but Kanto doesn't have that. And the bike area is like the main standout of the region. So yeah, it's a very boring region. That too, it's just, that's something that they did get the formula down, the gameplay formula down, but the setting, the map design, very low tier. And moving on to Johto, I think that's the number one thing that they improved. I do think they improved the map design. I like Johto. I think there's a lot of better areas, and I think it's pretty good. I don't know if I would put it much higher, maybe at B tier. Yeah, I think I have to really think about it. I'm gonna leave it on. I'm gonna put them in C tier. They are better than the original ones, but yeah, I can't go back and play them. I'm ranking these games like how I feel right now, and if I had to go back and play these games, I would have a lot of difficulty going back and playing any of the Game Boy games. They're not up to stuff. I think I'll put Crystal in C as well. Top of C. Come on. Alright, so now Generation 3, Ruby and Sapphire. These are the first games that I actually played through the entirety of, that I got Pokemon to level 100. So these are like the ones that I put the most hours into as a kid. But are they good? I'm gonna put them in B tier. I do think they're good. Hoenn has too much water. No, it doesn't. I think it's perfect. I think it's a good half and half, right? Come on now. Groudon, Kyogre, half the map is ground, half the map is water. Makes thematical sense. IGN is on one, and I hope nobody ever lets them forget about too much water. I think these games have amazing starters and a pretty decent story. Decent challenge, nothing too crazy, but they did introduce double battles, which is a big plus. I do like double battles. I think the only issue I have with the game is the Pokédex. Not a wide Pokédex, but they did have a lot of cool legendaries in this game. Regirock, Regice, Registeel thing, the whole Braille and how to unlock them, how to find them, was like, it was like a playground secret. Do you know what I mean? It was it was like something like that you didn't know if it was true or not, and everybody in the playground was talking about it, like, oh dude, you know, if you bring these certain Pokemon down here, you could find these legendaries, and I just thought that was so cool. And I don't think we ever had that happen afterwards. It was kind of like the whole Mew thing in Yellow version, right, where everybody thought Mew was under the truck, but Ruby and Sapphire gave us like the Reggie stuff, and I mean, you got to show that respect, dude. That was awesome. Like, you can't get that anymore with how the internet is. That would never happen again, because honestly, it was like, is that even real? You would look at your homies and be like, bro, is that real? So yeah, that was cool. And I think that it makes me sad knowing that we probably won't have that again with any of these Pokemon games. So yeah, I feel comfortable leaving them at B tier. Leaf Green and Fire Red. How do I feel about Leaf Green and Fire Red? I have the same issues with them that I do the original games. Kanto's very boring, but they did, up the graphics. And it's really hard to say. It's just Kanto sucks. And they didn't really improve the Pokédex that well either. They didn't really add a bunch of Pokemon on there. So honestly, they're gonna go in C tier. I mean, they're okay, but jeez, dude. Yeah, C tier. The little like wireless thing they had for the Game Boy Advance SP was pretty dope though. I'm not gonna lie. That was fire. You know, when you're a little kid and you had that, you made it. You made it. Back then I really did enjoy them. I loved those games, but now when I'm looking at it, I don't like Kanto. I don't like Kanto as a map. And I think that just when they remake these Kanto games and then there's only Gen 1 Pokemon there, it just drives me crazy. Like, I don't want to keep. I've been using Gen 1 Pokemon since I was a little kid, and I'm kind of just sick of it. Like, I'm just tired of using Gen 1 Pokemon, man. Every time I play a new generation, I really make it a point to only get Pokemon from that generation. And so when we go back to Kanto and it's just all Gen 1 Pokemon again, I just roll my eyes. I hate that shit. I hate it. Honestly, I'm not as high on Emerald as a lot of other people. I'm gonna put it on A tier. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't play Battle Tower like that growing up. Like, I was a dumb little kid at the time. Like, I did not play Battle Tower. So when everybody's hyping up Battle Tower and how much they loved it, I don't know, man. I missed out. I didn't play it. I thought it was cool because I had Groudon and Kyogre, Rayquaza coming down. Like, that whole cutscene, that was dope. Brendan and May having different outfits, that was dope. The sprites moving, that was dope. You see, those are the things that I think of when I talk about Emerald. I don't think of Battle Tower when I look at Emerald. I look at those little improvements they made that made like a casual at the time, or me as a little kid, went from like, damn, this is an upgraded version of Ruby that I've played 300 hours of. And honestly, if Emerald didn't exist, Ruby and Sapphire would be in A tier. But because it does exist, they have to be in B tier. Diamond and Pearl, a lot of nostalgia with these games, but unfortunately, it's going to fall in the same category as Ruby and Sapphire. I can't rate them as high because Platinum exists. So I can't put them too high. But we're going to put them in B tier above Ruby and Sapphire because I do like them more. To be honest, I know that they play slowly, and that whole complaint, when I was a kid, I didn't even notice. Okay, I didn't even notice it. I just felt like that's what Pokemon always felt like. I never realized it was going so slow. Maybe I was just a dumb kid. I don't know. But I never knocked it for that. I more knocked it for its heavy use of HMs. I noticed that even when I was a kid. Overall, I love the graphics. DS games are my favorite Pokemon games aesthetically. So Diamond and Pearl, just based off the graphics, are going to be over Ruby and Sapphire for me. And then Platinum, okay, this is easy. This is our first S tier. Platinum is S tier. Every single thing in Diamond and Pearl has been improved, including the speed, different Pokedex. You can catch so many more Pokemon. They added fire Pokemon, which is really cool. The story makes more sense. Cynthia is more involved in the story. Going to the other dimension to catch Giratina is awesome. And the best ROM hack is based off Platinum. It's Follow Me Renegade. It's based off one of the best Pokemon games, obviously. Platinum, there's not really much to say here. It's great. It's an amazing game. You all love it. And following up with Platinum is HeartGold, SoulSilver. And these are also S tier. They are also S tier. I don't care. Here I will have my nostalgia glasses on. I played through HeartGold, SoulSilver every single year. I played through those games every single year, and they never get old. I have to admit, I do play with Action Replay, but what I do is set up a team beforehand. So let's say I pick a team of 6, and I'll transfer them out to my game at like level 5 and play through the entire game that way. Like HeartGold and SoulSilver's Pokédex is cheeks. I will give you that. It is cheeks. And I try to use different Pokemon every single playthrough, and it's the best way for me to play. And Platinum, HeartGold, SoulSilver are some of my favorite games to play in that way. I say HeartGold is better than SoulSilver because HeartGold, when you have to go catch Ho-Oh, it's a lot easier than having to go get Lugia and knowing Whirlpool. I think I might even like Ho-Oh more than Lugia. I'm not really sure. All right, Gen 5. This is a really easy one too. I know exactly where these go. Right in A tier and above Emerald too. I do think these games are better than Emerald. These are high tier Pokemon, and this is the best Pokemon has ever looked graphically, and I love them. I love the sprites. I love the graphics on these games. Okay, animation, like they have so much personality. Oh my god, I love them so much. It's crazy because when they came out, they were so hated on. People hated on them so much. Black and White specifically, because they only put the new 151, like the Unova Pokemon in there. They try to kind of like reboot the series, but I kind of wish they would do that again for the next game. I feel like they're so afraid because of the backlash that they received in this time period that they'll never do that again. It's so unfortunate because why were we hating on that? That was so dope. In Gen 5 Pokemon, a lot of people hated on their designs at first, but I mean, how many people have come around and they love them now? They love Gen 5 Pokemon. Conkeldurr is like a perfect example of a Pokemon that I did not like its design growing up, but it's grown on me so much. I think Conkeldurr is so dope. They really did that. They really did that in the DS. They did that shit. Black and White 2. I think this is correct. I think this is correct. And I think it's pretty obvious, right? Like, we kind of all can agree on S tier here, I hope, because Black and White 2 are amazing. The challenges there in the regular mode. The starters, I think, are pretty dope. The gyms are dope. They reused the map and they added new areas to the map. They make Unova feel like a new area. Like it genuinely feels like a brand new map. And when you go back to locations from Black and White 1, it feels like more nostalgic rather than they're just reusing this area. You know what I mean? Because it feels like an actual time jump from the first game. Since you met Sharon and Bianca early in the game, it makes it feel very nostalgic as you're going through it. So when you're revisiting areas from the original game, you don't feel like they're reusing a map. You feel like, wow, I'm here again, right? It's more of a happy, excited feeling. They have not been able to redo that with other remakes that they've made. They have not been able to spark that kind of emotion from me since Black and White 2. Same graphics as the first games, which is perfect. And the Pokédex is opened up, and you get more than the 151 Unova Pokemon. You start the game, you could start the game with a Riolu and a Mareep. Like, that's awesome. What other game starts that hard? What other game starts that hard, dude? It's amazing. So man, these games, they make me want to cry. I love them so much. Honestly, I do. All these DS games, man. I'm a big sip for them. I don't know if you could tell. It goes up on this tier for sure. All right, X and Y. This is a part where I start questioning myself. I was very, very hyped on X and Y. I was one of the people that kept saying that Pokemon need to go 3D. But do I think they're horrible games? No, not really. I don't think they're horrible, but I do think they fall somewhere like right here. I would rather play them than the Game Boy games. I'd rather go back to X and Y than play Gold, Silver, Red, or Blue, because they are playable. In my opinion, they're 100% playable. I hate XP share. I know you can take it off, but I've never tried playing the game with it off, so maybe that's not my bad. But with it on, the game's just way too easy. They give you way too many overpowered Pokemon, like Lucario, and then a Gen 1 starter that can also Mega Evolve. The fact that you could Mega Evolve every single battle is there. That's crazy. That's already crazy. I do like the Mega Evolutions. I like the Pokemon that came out in the generation, but the games itself, it's not it. I mean, they're obviously unfinished as well. They never came out with an X version. Team Flare was like the start of bad teams, right? Like it was the start of teams that like we didn't know it was the start, but it was the start of like bad teams, and it did not feel like they were, I don't know, that menacing, that scary. I mean, the story was butts, right? It's going above the other Pokemon games because they are playable. They are 100% playable. Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. These are going here for me. There we go. I like these games a lot. I think the 3D jump is good, but I think it's perfect in Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. I think this is where it should have stayed. Still had like the top-down view. Wasn't trying to get like too crazy with the 3D. This is where I felt like it peaked, the 3D graphics. Also keeps the PSS system from X and Y, which was awesome. That was like the best DS system that they had. I don't know why they would have removed it, but they did, it doesn't make any sense. And they had the Pokénav. The Pokénav was freaking awesome too. I mean, the only real gripe is still the Pokédex. The Pokédex just wasn't that good. I don't enjoy it that much. I guess you could see this theme going on with just the older games or like the remakes, is I don't like the Pokédex. These two games, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, is also when I started actually going online trying to play Pokemon competitively. These were the games. Next mainline series games are Sun and Moon. Okay, these are gonna go in D. Here's the thing, I'm gonna put these on D because Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun exist. I don't like the gym trials, island trials, whatever you call them, man. It just takes way too long. I do think the difficulty is pretty good though. I do like the difficulty, and not being able to have any skippable cutscenes is criminal. All right, so we're gonna leave those there. I'm gonna leave it at that because Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun, I'm gonna put an A tier because I do think they're that much better. I feel like Sun and Moon are so obsolete, and that's why I put them in D tier, because they might as well not exist because Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon exist. Those games still have the long story and still have shitty trials, but they are just, I feel, so much more improved. All right, you get such a better Pokédex, you get such a better post game. I think they're great. I think these games are great. I love them. I really do. I played the battle tree so much on these games, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was so great, especially with like every 10 battles you did, you would battle a boss that was, you know, an old character from the previous game. Cynthia, Wally, Red and Green. Like there's so many awesome characters you could fight. You also had the Rainbow Rocket episode, which I thought was cool. I don't know why people hate on it. I thought it was dope. Being able to fight all the previous bad guys, that was cool. And they came from a world, they came from like a dimension that they won. That's awesome, man. And the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon guy, you the one to stop them? That's dope. That was a dope story. And Necrozma is a very, very hard boss. Necrozma was no joke. Why, like, people sleeping Ultra Moon, man? I feel like Ultra Moon, Ultra Sun, like, people hate on it because they're told to hate on it. Sun and Moon, they do suck because these games exist. These games are good. They're good 3DS games. Okay, so now we're done with the DS games, which sucks because that's really when Pokemon was peaking here. I'm sorry, but we're gonna add a tier here. We're gonna have to, because these games are poop. They are poop. I don't care much for the Let's Go mechanics. They took out items. It's only 151 Pokemon Gen 1. Again, it's Kanto. And who cares if it's Kanto again? Kanto is boring. Okay, it's boring the first time. It's boring the second time. It's boring the third time. It's boring the fourth time. It's boring the fifth time. And this does nothing to improve on the games. Absolutely nothing to improve Kanto. Nothing for the Pokemon. I mean, do I have to say anything else? Do I really have to say anything else? No, I don't, right? Okay, cool. The graphics are okay. The graphics are okay, because what we got next was Sword and Shield. And the graphics here were not okay. Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee actually looked pretty decent. You know, you actually thought, yo, this is gonna be kind of fire the next game. And then they come out with Sword and Shield and you're just immediately disappointed. Dude, what can I say about if you would have asked me like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would have gone off on Sword and Shield. I would have gone a tangent about how much I hate them, but it's been so long now that I just like, it's cemented in my mind that I hate them. Here's what I'm gonna do, actually. Zacian is better than Zamazenta by a mile, by like 100 miles, 300 miles. So much to the point where Zacian and Sword will go on D, and Zamazenta, you're gonna poop. You poopy. There's so much wrong with Sword and Shield. I feel like I want to make a whole separate video on it, on why they were so bad and what they did wrong. Because right now I'm just like, I don't, it just gives me a headache. And another game that gives me a big headache is these Diamond and Pearl remakes. Dude, these games are so cheeks, man. Oh my god. They should have just remade Platinum. Obviously, the walking Pokemon mechanic in the game sucks. They remade Diamond and Pearl like to the T, and just like high res the graphics. And personally, the Chibi should not be high res. They shouldn't. It would throw me off going from the Chibi style to the Sword and Shield style when you went into battles. Like it would really throw me off. I did not like the way that looked. Overall, man, they really should have just remade Platinum. Like they should have had like Platinum's mechanics in there, Platinum story, the Platinum Pokédex. But they only picked certain things from Platinum and certain things from Diamond and Pearl. I don't know why they did that. I wish we could find out why they decided to only make a remake of Diamond and Pearl and not have it just be a Platinum. Was it because there was two different versions? I feel like you could still do something. They did that with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. It was essentially an Emerald remake, but they still made two versions. So why fumble on Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond? These games were probably even more anticipated than Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. So it doesn't make any sense. Next game is Legends Arceus. In this game, I do enjoy. I'm gonna put it on the top of B tier. I think that the game is good. I like the game. I do like this game. My biggest gripe with it is the Pokédex. It's essentially the Diamond and Pearl Pokédex, and it was really shitty for me buying Diamond. I bought Shining Pearl in December, right? And then February Arceus came out, and I had just played through Diamond and Pearl with the Gen 4 Pokédex. And when you play Arceus, it's essentially the exact same Pokédex. I think it is the exact same Pokédex. Like they don't have any Gen 5 and up Pokemon in that game. No, at least not that I can think of right now. Other than except the Hisuian Pokemon, which I'm not gonna count. I'm gonna count like the majority of the Pokemon are just the original Gen 4 Pokemon. So I'm like playing it thinking, here we go, Staraptor again, Luxray again. So the Pokédex is probably my biggest complaint with it, but I did enjoy the gameplay. The map is very empty and there's only one town. But overall, they were really heading to the right direction with this game. I think that they should make more Legends games and improve on that, add more cities, keep the side missions, add more Pokemon. I think they should really go for it. I think they should do a new generations in the Arceus style, so we can have like a unique Pokédex instead of these just being kind of like a side remake kind of things. But I do like Legends Arceus. I think it's a great game. And B tier is great. It's still good. It's very playable. Scarlet and Violet, I'm gonna put them in C tier. I really thought with like Sword and Shield they were going down, and then Diamond and Pearl remakes came out, and it's like free fall. And then Legends Arceus came out, and I thought, oh, okay, so now like these games, like they're kind of getting it, moving, they're really evolving. And then like they're going up. Scarlet and Violet came out, and they kind of start tithering, like it's a little bit up and down, a lot of ups and downs. I think they're heading on the right direction, but there's just way too many fumbles with Scarlet and Violet. They need to make these games run well. They need to put voice acting. They need to just get rid of a lot of like the inconvenient stuff of the game. It was fun to play through the first time, but when I started playing the DLC, I just was getting really tired of it, man. Like the story is just, the stories are not good. Gameplay's okay, but just they run so bad, they run so poorly. It's so hard to play those games for more than just a few hours without just feeling like what the fuck. Anyway, so I hope this video isn't too long. I've been recording for over an hour, and I'm gonna have to edit it out. Obviously, I'm gonna have to like shorten it up for you guys to try and make it maybe 20 minutes, so we'll see how that goes. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you guys agree with my tier list. Put in the comments, what do you guys think is the best Pokemon game and what you think is the worst Pokemon game? I want to know.